the actual incident, very, very different to what happens in the book. It actually happened at a barbecue Mum and Dad held, and there were lots of friends and family, including a lovely boy who was playing around Mum's feet as she was cooking, and she, just like in the book, she was cooking up a storm. There was so much food. He was playing with her pots and pans and getting in her way, and she kept saying, stop, stamata, and he wouldn't. And at one point, she just lifted him very lightly and a very small pat on his bum. But I do remember him putting his hands on his hips and going, "No one has a right to touch my body without my permission." Like an animal! And it was a great gift, that moment, because I thought, well, look, I've been wanting to write this book about contemporary Australia. There is so much anxiety here expressed through the way we are as parents, the way we are as adults with young people.
Bloody hell, I don't have time for this, all right? Behave.
What would happen if there was actually a slap and it was a real slap? It felt like a taboo, that if you did that in our culture now. And so I started writing that story.
The first thing that happened was I read a review of the book in the Sydney Morning Herald on a Saturday morning, and I went straight to the bookshop and I bought the book and I sat straight down and I read it over the weekend and just could not put it down. I thought it was a real page turner, and I immediately felt incredibly excited about it as television.
As soon as I read it, I knew that it was something that I really wanted to be involved in, because it's a very interesting take on Australian suburbia.
I really was frustrated with the faces that I was seeing on screen and the voices I was reading on paper.
This seemed to be a way of talking about how diverse Australia is culturally without ever making that the foreground issue.
Rosie.
You will come to Greece.
It was a great yarn with juicy, difficult characters and complex morality and all the things that attract me to drama.
Tony and I had, talked about trying to develop it in the way that the Americans are developing series at the moment. I mean, you've got to look at what's coming out of America, particularly out of HBO with The Wire and Mad Men and all of that sort of thing, and looking at that model of development which involved writers' tables and a showrunner and intensive script development.
That record's famous because Coltrane was having trouble with his teeth at the time when he wrote
Christos was intimately involved with the development process all the way through, so he was sitting there right from word go.
I've had two moments with The Slap being turned into TV series where I've been shitting my pants. I thought, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to think this is some interloper from the world of fiction? What right does he have to sit with us script writers and directors?
I got to say I found that quite intimidating in some respects, because writing a script, you have the experience all the time of you work really, really hard on your baby, and you get it to a point where it's perfect and just as you wanted it, and then you have to hand it over to someone else.
That record's famous because Coltrane was having trouble with his teeth at the time when he wrote it.
Poor Christos, I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, how much do you feel, to watch this novel taken over by this bunch of bums? Was he kind of going to be resentful or upset or defensive? It's like you were restoring a beautiful vintage car, and then at the end of that, you don't get to drive it, you just have to hand the keys to someone else and watch them park it in a really, really tight spot.
There probably was an anxiety coming from them about, is he going to let us change anything? Is he just going to be so precious? This has to be like this because this was what I said on page 33, and, this is the Bible. And
I should be up on that stand.
That's right.
Get on.
And did you or did you not make Hector tell Harry about this very, very private piece of information?
Actually, in my defence, I think that was the scriptwriters.
You're right, actually. It wasn't in there. This has been added. That's right. That's right, because there is no court case in the book.
It just happened.
The reality was, because I do love film, I was just excited about seeing that process of adaptation. And if it was going to work, it had to change.
A lot of what happens in a novel happens in the character's head, and you hear about all that stuff through the narrator's voice. It doesn't necessarily make for great television. If Hector's driving for 20 minutes, we can't just watch him drive for 20 minutes. Whereas in the book, it's compelling because when he's driving for 20 minutes, you're hearing about Connie and you're hearing about his marriage and you're hearing about his dreams. It's incredibly dramatic, but we can't shoot that.
Christos gave us license to take the story away from the book when we needed to make it more of a drama series and less of an anthology series. When we had to find story inventions to hook audiences back in the following week. In fact, he probably would have pushed it further than we wanted to. We kept coming back to the book in the workshops.
Well, the image I always have in my mind for Hector, I see him as the ball bearing in the pinball machine, bouncing around everywhere, because he looks for the path of least resistance, but he wants to keep everyone happy. He wants to be friends with everyone. That's really what he wants, and you just can't.
Because it's an 8-character piece, we wanted to give each character a different cinematic feel. Hector's kind of like a man surrounded by chaos, or what he sees as chaos. And when Connie makes an offer to him, he decides to go in that direction. And what we wanted to do was kind of show someone who's always in the middle of things. He's not particularly proactive. She starts it, he kind of follows it up. And over the course of that day, he tries to get more proactive, only really to his own demise.
So now he's at this point in his life, and I think it's a common point when people reach their 40s, they start to question, they have that moment, shit, how did I get here? And I think that's what sets him off on this mini crisis, trying to regain some of his youth, the excitement of being young when you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Is the seat free?
It is now.
I think he's weak rather than actually villainous or wicked. In terms of, the human weaknesses and so on, well, that can be humanising as well as alienating. You have to find a way of making the audience understand that and making them see themselves in that character. The thing where Hector makes a deal with himself about getting through the red lights, whether he'll confront Connie or not. I used to do this all the time. It was like when I was at uni, I would be standing at the train station trying to decide, well, should I go to my lecture or should I just, go to the pub?
I love that. They actually cut that out at one point, and I fought to get it back in because I said, look, that is really the crux of who Hector is. He doesn't want to make a decision. He wants the world to make the decisions for him. You're the shit you brought down when you slapped that kid home in the permanent fucking doghouse.
It's not my fault your wife wears the pants.
Fuck you. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. What's up?
Shooting the slap scene was the most difficult sequence I found personally in those 2 episodes because of the multi-layered nature of what was going on, and because it involved a child and certain aggression towards a child and a child having to act in a certain way, and what I could create and what I needed him to do.
Good. And you don't have to say anything there, Jules, just get them all away with the bat, okay? Good. That's great.
It was also jumping in and out of someone's point of view, and just the fact that there were sort of 18, 20 characters involved, and they all needed to have a viewpoint on what was happening.
People are coming in far too soon. You guys shouldn't come in until you've heard Melissa come through.
An event which is only a couple of seconds long, but the repercussions and the significance of that event and how it divides a community is really, I guess what's in focus here today. It's such an important scene to the entire series.
Animal! Touch my kid! Huh? He deserved it! What? Oh, yeah! Hey! You want it?
What's going on?
He hit our son! He hit our son! Hit this pig!
You bad!
I blame his piss pot burning parents. Finish making fun! I'm finished. Really? Everybody needs to sit in that's it, that's a figure, okay? All right? I don't want to cause you any more trouble, all right? Not because I'm scared of this fucking faggot. What are you saying? Huh? What are you saying in English?
And in terms of the slap itself, everyone has a different take on it. Everyone has a different idea of where the line is.
A similar incident happened, with somebody that I know. And it was just really interesting gauging, different people around the table and their views toward it.
I think one of the genius qualities of the book is that your opinion of the slap changes as you read the book. Initially in chapter 1, I wanted to slap that child. I think that hopefully the whole audience will feel that.
Is it a bad thing to do? What do you think?
Yes.
You think it's a bad thing to...
Yeah. Nobody should hit kids, even if they're naughty.
Certainly my opinion changed. I'm kind of hoping that that's what's going to happen for the audience as the series goes along, as you learn more about the history of these characters.
Yeah, I guess you don't really ever know until it's your kid.
There's something about, as an adult, an explosion of anger ending in a physical action and how wrong that is. And I think that is where the error in Harry's action sits for me.
I would have bored myself silly if I'd written a book about the rights or wrongs of slapping. It was a beginning, it was not an end in itself.
That's it. I want everyone's numbers.
There had to be a slap delivered in each of the chapters. Not a physical one, but emotional slap.
Anouk is a really together, amazing, clever, in-control woman. But the episode that we meet her in is total crisis in her life.
It's really interesting watching two characters who both, in a sense, are anchoring themselves towards youth in a different way, but both of them are panicking about getting older and what that means rather than embracing it.
If you want it.
She was very driven, but at the same time she was always running away from her life and what the possibilities of it were.
She's running away from love. She's running away from death. She's running away from new life. She's just running as fast as she can to avoid having to make a decision.
We wanted that sense of her always moving and following her until right at the end when everything kind of stops and she can't fight it anymore. I found the romance with Rhys genuinely romantic.
I like it.
And I wanted to make sure that the character wasn't just a kind of bimbo.
We just wanted to steer away from that. It wouldn't give justice to the relationship. I mean, we wanted to make it a love story and approached it like a film.
It's more interesting to me if there's a genuineness there, if he's young but he's kind of an old soul and actually there may be some regret, there may be a possibility in it. You know, I didn't want it to start the episode and think, oh, well, that's never going to work. Because in a sense, you undermine the dramatic tension.
Action.
Oh. She just thinks Hugo is such a little shitty child. And she doesn't think that Rosie or Gary are good parents.
We all wanted to slap Hugo that day.
Well, that's a horrible thing to say.
Well, and it's not horrible that she might ruin Harry and Sandy's lives just
Totally, I think, disagrees with the whole breastfeeding till 5 issue. She's watched her spunky, sort of independent, risky friend just become completely focused on her life is about her baby, and is disappointed in her. She's the only of the 3 best friends who doesn't have children and never really wanted to have children.
I'm pregnant, Rosie.
She didn't say. She's really at a crossroads in her life, and she's so clever at making decisions and very concise in her life. It's about which path to follow.
Harry's an interesting character, you know, he sort of does something which is slightly regretful, but which at the same time, I'm pretty sure he, you know, believes in all the way, and a lot of people believe that what he did was the right thing to do, and a lot of people are completely opposed to it. As a writer, Christos really, you know, has an ability to just divide a community. And there are a lot of issues in this story.
No matter what decision Harry makes, and many of them are questionable, I don't think you can ever dismiss them as being entirely unrepresented. It's a little bit like that Christian notion of, you know, he who is free of guilt cast the first stone.
You shouldn't either like Harry or hate Harry. You have to understand that Harry, just like every other character who plays in this, is a flawed human being.
How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you?
I guess when we undertook the adaptation, we wanted to make sure that the characters behaved in the same way that they did in the book. They were doing difficult things, not always for good reasons. They weren't always likeable. But we always wanted to have a compassionate view of who they were.
Hugo, do you remember this man? It's a bad man who hit me. He's going to go to jail.
The difference between a character on the page, a character who lives solely through words and your imagination, is that we bring our subjectivity to it and we flesh them out in very personal ways. As soon as you put an actor in that role, you're making a much more concrete judgment. We wanted to make sure that when the audiences viewed the world of The Slap, they were making judgments that were based upon a broad interpretation of the material in the book, rather than able to make simple, snap judgments about people.
I kind of felt more confident playing Harry. Any character that I ever take on, there is some defining factor which I relate to. There's a part of them which is a part of me.
Oh, and hey, one last thing. Suck my nuts.
Alex Dimitriadis had to be in The Slap. I mean, he was the lead character in Head On, based on Christos's earlier novel, Loaded. Alex has read the audio book of The Slap. What he brought to Harry was something really surprising. You know, he's so charming in person, but as an actor, he was able to deliver that real anger. You know, Harry's a guy with anger management issues, and Alex was really able to put that into the performance, but still make him incredibly likeable. We didn't want to soften the characters, and we didn't want to soften the character of Harry, but we also didn't want to make an episode that everybody just watched a few minutes of and switched it off.
I had vile judgments on all kinds of characters, and then you can't help it. You just sort of, you come up against your own sense of right and wrong, and your sense of compassion and judgment are constantly being challenged.
I think everyone could relate to one of the characters in some way. Connor's obviously for the girls.
The interesting thing, in directing these 2 episodes is that I have had no experience whatsoever with domestic violence, and I've never been a teenage girl.
I think he was as surprised as we were when he was able to channel the inner teenage girl, and he did such a brilliant job of Connie that I actually think that he's more teenage girl than kind of angry middle-aged wog.
It didn't look like it would suit me.
It's perfect.
The story and the character lent itself to exploring sort of a more organic process. We used more handheld, we didn't block out the scenes quite so specifically, just let Sophie sort of own the space. I wouldn't say it was a documentary, it was more following this young woman around and finding the moments that we wanted in the edit suite. Whereas with Harry, it was like, well, the scene is this, he goes there, he walks there, he goes there, and it was orchestrated and planned.
I have a family. The kids are just in bed. This is a mistake.
We'll be quiet, I can wait.
It's not what I meant. You're 17, Connie. I'm 40.
I don't care how old you are. I think every girl relates like that. Relates in a way that you get obsessed with this person, and it's her first, physical relationship with somebody. And when it's like that, you're obsessed with them, and it's such a new feeling, and it's all exciting, and it just takes over you, and you can't see straight.
Sophie Lowe's 21st birthday coming up. Can't tell you when it's coming up. It's coming up soon though.
Working with Sophie was a revelation for me. It was almost like I felt like I was being shown by Sophie her world, or a world that I was being guided through that landscape. I remember one scene, her character and her 2 best friends are in the bathroom, and I wasn't entirely sure whether or not it was an accurate representation of what girls do in a bathroom, because I've never been in one with them. I remember turning to the script supervisor. Was that what she said? Yeah, that's pretty much what goes on. And I was like, well, now I know.
I'm so rosy after this 3 months. Like, I love her. I just adore her. I relate to her. She's sweet, warm, but then she's just like a cat, and she can rip your throat out. That's me as well. Like, I am lovely, but don't fucking piss me off. Excuse my language. As a female, you're feminine and you're warm and you're lovely, but at the same time, you have to protect yourself. And Rosie's just had it, she's had a hard life, and so she's also got that cat kind of thing. I can go to a barbecue and hit a kid and nobody cares.
Rosie, he was found guilty, just with no conviction recorded.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Can you please stop saying that?
My first conversation with Melissa, she said, I understand why a mother would react this way, you know, and I understand why she is the way she is in the landscape of her friends and family, and I know why she loves Gary despite the way, you know, he is.
Your son to know that his own fucking father can't protect him? You're so fucking weak.
I hate you.
Cutting, excellent. It was great.
What attracted me to Gary is I play a lot of suburban shitheads in my career, but Gary was unique in that he's incredibly intelligent, incredibly well-read, incredibly passionate. It's a nice complex take on the suburban male that it's not just a stupid knockabout Aussie bloke in the suburbs. The whole God thing is like Santa Claus. A load of shit.
You do see Gary and Rosie at their worst, but what you do see a little bit in their storyline is that they're a fantastic couple because they're honest, they're real, they're not having an affair on each other, they're not doing anything like the other characters in The Slap are. They're just open, like, this is who we are. And we also are very expressive, Rosie and Gary, and we say whatever we think because we feel like Aisha loves me, Anouk loves me. I'm just me, but I didn't realise that when The Slap happened, they would actually all turn against us. It's interesting that for so many years, Gary and Rosie were so comfortable with this group of people, but when you really observe each and every one of the people in The Slap, they're all just probably not great people. They're probably not good friends.
6 weeks old. Did you leave him alone in the house and drive 2 hours away to a hotel on the Mornington Peninsula, Rosebud, I believe it was?
I'm going to cry if we do rehearsal.
Yeah, okay. We don't have to do rehearsal. That's fine. Okay. So that the lines are fine. We've got the set. So let's go straight into it.
It's just too sad. You also see of Rosie that she did suffer from postnatal. And when you do reveal that at the end in the court scene, it's so tragic and you realise why a mother feeds for so long because it's her way of healing what she did to her child. I know that from friends that have gone through postnatal, you often feed because you want to heal and you want to give any ounce of nutrition from your body to your child. I get it. My mum breastfed my little sister till she was 3.5. It's interesting what Harry and Hector see the breast as. It's a sexual thing for them. And when you see Harry's episode, the way they perceive Rosie is completely in the eyes of Harry, like she's just with her boob out and she's just feeding, but that's Harry's perspective of Rosie. So when you cut to Rosie's episode or her journey, that's the real Rosie.
You should leave me, Rosie.
Rosie's a very complicated character. You know, she's a mother. She's breastfeeding her 4-year-old son, and she's in a relationship with someone who she loves, but who is an alcoholic, and she's placed in a world of affluent friends. Her friends are better off financially. And so for her, there's a journey of finding out what matters. You know, she's channeled a lot of the issues in her life through the way she parents her son.
Yes. Oh, about 15 minutes tops, I reckon.
Straight. All right. Rosie doesn't have a full-time job. Taking this man to court is her full-time job. Now, I know a lot of mothers love to be mums and that's their life and their self-worth is through their children, but at some point, you've got to get yourself back, and Rosie got herself back by taking this man to court, and I want people to go on a journey for her, to see her studying, and this is by the book, and this is her job, and then when it all falls to pieces, I want people to feel sorry for her, but don't judge her.
Episode 5 is, in some ways, the culmination of the Slap story. It's where Rosie gets her day in court. A small incident, a child being slapped at a barbecue, has created profound repercussions on this whole group of people.
Do you breastfeed your son to help him get to sleep?
Yes.
And the Manolis episode looks at how it's affected him, but I guess the drama is smaller in it.
God really is a dirty cocksucker.
What he sees is injustice in the world. If God is serious, why does he allow things that are bad to happen, you know, and people that are bad to prosper? It's possible to blame someone else for your own life, you know, not take the responsibility for it, say, oh, well, I couldn't do anything about it because that's what God did. You know, and I think it's coming to terms with, you know, God as a cocksucker is like, it's not God's fault.
My papu, he say, to marry a woman because she's beautiful, it's like eating a bird because you like his feathers.
I think episode 6 is like a moment of reflection, and hopefully a moment that will also give us pleasures as well in looking at the diversity of the world and richness of detail.
The thing that I think Christos has done fantastically in the book is that he's presented contemporary Australia in a way that you don't actually normally see it, but that I feel is absolutely genuine in terms of contemporary Australia. The whole, you know, multicultural society, but what he's done is he said all of these people live here, you know, they're not outside of the society, they are the society.
Το ίδιο είμαστε όλοι μας. Old, maybe.
The coming of so many cultures to Australia is one of the great things of our history. Particularly about Melbourne. I actually feel at home in Melbourne because everyone looks like they're from everywhere else.
And the irony of it is, of course, is that the parents migrate so that they can create a better life for the kids. And they've created what they think is this better life for the kids, only to see the kids not seem to appreciate it, because that act of migration forces them apart, makes them different, and they want to be the same, and they can never be the same, because everyone is a product of their own age.
We're trying to bring the village customs and the things that we can feel home here, but it's a little bit hard.
Leave her alone, she's fine.
Look, for me, what was really interesting is that Hector is selfish, he acts selfishly, and he follows that individualistic Western ethos in many respects. He looks after himself, he gives in to his appetites even when they are going to potentially harm his family. Manolis, on the other hand, has never done that. He's done the right thing by family. He's actually taken that ethos of the village in many respects and stayed true to it. So what we have at the end of that is we have Manolis deeply unhappy, which he feels has been, you know, one of so many lost opportunities. But the interesting thing is Hector any better? Like, Hector's indulged himself. Is he happy? No. In fact, when those two men sit there having a drink, Hector is, you know, distraught. He's at the end of his tether. He's been destroyed by these selfish, weak decisions he's made. And maybe in the end, Manolis does find some kind of peace. Whereas will Hector ever find peace with his lifestyle? I don't know. I got to say, there's a part of me that's sort of a little... I think there is no simple answer.
You see, with Manolis, we had a good life with Manoli, but we have the differences. He's agree with his son, but I don't. Yeah. But I think it's still a connection there with Manoli and Kula.
Maybe I get Filipinese instead.
Why Filipino? You get a Russian cheap, and they're Orthodox.
It appears to Manolis, at least, as an intriguing possibility. Like, what if I do that? Is it too late for me? But at the same time, he sees the struggle that his son's going through as well. He does say, I chose to do what he calls the right thing. I chose to keep my family together. And so a lot of it is justifying the choices you've made. And I think the realisation that while he thinks the wife is a pain in the arse, it's that recognition that maybe I'm a pain in the arse to her as well.
Her character she's very kind of together and solid, someone that you'd really like as a friend, probably. You know, she's very level-headed, she's a vet, and she's quite methodical and has gone through life having quite a good plan for herself and, you know, followed through the plan. And I think with Aisha that she has a really big journey. I mean, they all have really big journeys, and she does. She goes from thinking her life is kind of sorted to maybe it's not sorted. Hey, look, it's fine. Look, let's just go back to the room. Hey. For Christ's sake, stop it.
An actor like Sophie Okonedo, who brings to Aisha a kind of rigorous scrutiny of this woman, you know, and where she is at and why would she be unfaithful to her husband. You know, what takes a woman of principle, integrity, and kind of with a moral compass that would not accommodate infidelity? What takes her to a point where she would feel that it was okay to be unfaithful to her husband?
It's like sometimes I think she might feel that she's got another child. She's got her 2 kids plus her husband who's sometimes needs to grow up a bit. And I think that can be quite wearing on a relationship. It's not very balanced.
Hector is more immature on some level about it. You know, he's, you know, looking for the drugs and the alcohol and the, you know, the young girl and all that sort of stuff. Whatever's just in front of him, instant gratification. And she's a lot more mature about the way she handles it, even though she has this affair. And what's interesting is that she goes a lot further with her affair than what Hector does. You know, it's kind of this interesting flip. So I think that's really what's going on, is that it's the drudgery of life. Is just watch the passion.
You're going to do it again.
No, I'm not going to see her again.
I mean with anyone.
You know, I saw that episode as a portrait of a marriage in crisis. You know, it has a more epic scale. Cinematically, I actually allowed it to unfold in simpler coverage but bigger visual style that allowed you to observe this scrutiny of a marriage. Revelation that Harry had hit Sandy so brutally.
So when you come out, if you go down,
yeah.
right, and then I come up and I'll use the car light, kind of slide you up as I'm struggling.
Yeah, and I'll be
okay.
Then here.
And then I can get you like this.
Yeah.
And you right?
That's great.
Yeah, we'll make it.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So good. As I'm struggling with your weight, we're using the car.
And can I have Sophie? I might maybe come into that on her.
Can somebody help this lady?
Let's get you inside.
You know, I love that Aisha finally has an opportunity to confront Harry about that, you know, and to say that it was unacceptable and that people may have let other things pass, but that moment is firm in her memory.
I'm talking about what you did to Sandy. She might have forgotten. I haven't.
And of course, in the court case, this revelation that if that had been known, Harry was someone who had previously, in moments of profound anger, struck out, then he may have been punished more harshly.
When I read the character, I've never played a gay character. I've played a few insecure characters, but this character was so much more going on inside his head.
I think there's a whole lot more going on with men than some people believe, and how dangerous it is when it gets stifled. Bad things can happen, and that's definitely the case in Richie's episode, because he's little by little he becomes more and more isolated.
I'm just a freak sometimes, that's all.
The Richie chapter I responded to because he was this teenage boy going off the rails over a sexual obsession, and I guess I kind of understood what that was like. And I love the fact that he went through this difficult time and came back to a kind of innocence. And I thought that's a beautiful story.
I get it past me. I can kick it bigger than you.
Just recently, he's become more of a gay character, and he's not too sure about it, so he's trying out. He's letting Connie put makeup on him. There's one scene that me and Sophie do that we were mucking around before. It was actually our audition scene.
I can feel it on my eyeball.
Good. Done.
I think what's great about it, you follow all these adults through the series, and it's all got to do with the court case and the slap and the event, and married Hector and Aisha. And then you just meet this gay teenage kid. It's just the whole series just goes that direction. And that's what I love about Richie, is just these young kids take over this very adult story But it's for a very, very important reason that they do that. And cleverly, it all comes lurching towards a very powerful ending that involves everybody.
I have no idea what he's talking about. What the fuck is this about, Richie? What did you say?
Well, did he rape you or not?
No! I have no idea what he's talking about. He's making it up. I promise you. Okay. He's obsessed with Hector. He's sick. He stole a photo out of your album, a photo of Hector, and he stares at it all day. And he goes to the ball just so he can pervert Hector. He's sick. He's fucking sick.
No, I didn't think about playing Craig. It was just kind of suggested to me from Tony, and we had a chat about it, and then it worked out. But he's a kind of heartbreaking character in a lot of ways. He's not a bad guy. He's just a bit of a dope. And I think Richie probably baffles him in a lot of ways, because Richie's kind of brilliant and smart. And I think Craig would just look at him going, where did you come from? You know, who are you?
He's very smart, I reckon. He knows what a lot of people are thinking a lot of the time, and he kind of just goes with it, and he's kind of thinking in the back of his mind, yeah, I'll just sit here and let's see how this conversation goes.
Listen, all the directors felt like they were given something precious, and everyone felt like they didn't want to fuck it up.
Well, I think we have to be ready for some people to hate it, and that's quite hard, you know, as a filmmaker. You can talk about it in an ideal sense. We want to make something that people feel passionately about, and they argue about, and they fight each other, but, you know, when that becomes crystallised that people are actually going to watch it and criticise it, that's quite hard.
I think it's an impossible task to get everyone to like this series. I think some people are going to respond to it in the same way they responded to the book, which they're probably going to hate the characters.
I think we may have got inside all these people, be them sympathetic or not. I think we'll present the audience with 8 incredibly complex protagonists for those episodes.
What we offer an audience is a surprising, rich, complex view of contemporary life in Australia that touches upon a lot of issues that are relevant to people's lives now. I hope that is something that an audience will want to watch.